right? But I think the one portrayal. Everybody look. What's her name? Let's say it again. What's her name? Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the city of Indianapolis, Miss TheeErikaAlexander.
Pleasure to meet many of you out there, and I just need to say thank you. And to Olivia, who's my little new sis. Maybe that's too abrasive. And Yvette said, I can't write that character out. That represents me and so many other women I know. And if you take her out of the show, I don't want to do the show. So what she did is she put her across the street. That's why I was across the street. She was never at home. She was never at home. She'd never known that I was across the street. That was her way of sort of bending that note and saying, well, it'll be the three girls in the house and they'll have this nutty, you know, I don't say nutty because it wasn't nutty. She was a strong woman coming across the street. And that's how she stayed. So even before I had been cast, that role had already rubbed up against the obstacles of progress.
So just a reflection on Maxine's impact in the culture. Your production company, which we're going to talk about in a moment, Color Farm Media, in partnership with the Butterfly Foundation and the Representation Project and others, they did a study on the impact of her character, Maxine Shaw. It's called the Maxine Shaw Effect. You can see the full report on the website is themaxineshaweffect.com. And very simple to remember. Very simple to remember. And I just want to read off a couple of stats. So that study that was conducted found that 1/3 of Black women lawyers, and I wasn't surveyed, but I'd include myself in that too. 1/3 of Black women lawyers say that Maxine Shaw directly influenced their decision to go to law school. Amen. About 80% of Black women professionals say that Maxine Shaw inspired them to pursue leadership positions in male-dominated fields. That's right. And 2/3 of Black women professionals, so around 66–67%, say that Maxine Shaw showed them that they could have a successful career and a fulfilling personal life. Which we all know work-life balance is really hard to come out these days. So how does it feel now on this side, 32 years of living single, which, just for context, I'm a millennial. I was born 3 weeks after Living Single premiered. Stop bragging. I don't care about you. I'm not saying you really going too far. But I say that to say this. How does it make you feel that this role has had such a generational impact? It's had such a generational impact. So how does that make you feel sitting on this side of it now?
It feels fantastic. It just proves that representation matters. We say that all the time. It's true. It's very true. But it's nothing if we don't provide the support and the resources for the people who go into those very hard fields that are often feeling left alone. We did a lot of different things inside of the study that, you know, I guess made us want to do it. We're speaking with lawyers who were burned out and quitting their field and feeling suicidal, feeling lost. And we thought this needs to be brought forward as well. The reason why it even came about, well, just for many years, people kept coming up to me and saying that that was the reason they had gone to law school. People like Stacey Abrams, yes, Ayanna Pressley, Marilyn Mosby, many people in education, you know, the leadership positions, and male and female, by the way. And so we thought, let's put some, you know, real data behind it. But I was on a panel with the Gina Davis Institute, and they had done something called the, the X-Files. It had Scully, and it was called the Scully effect. And they found out how many women went into STEM because of that character. And at the time, my co-founder, Ben Arnon, was like whispering, tell them about the Maxine Shaw effect. It didn't even exist then, but I was like, okay, well, there's this thing that's happening. And after the panel was over, a white woman came up to me, Caroline Heldman, and she said, I did the Scully effect research project, and she said, I'm a lawyer, and I can tell you I went into law because of Maxine Shaw. And I went to the data research. So we partnered with her, and also the Butterfly Institute is Yvette Lee Bowser's, and we wanted to get the data because receipts matter. And it was it W.E.B. Du Bois that did the World's Fair and said that Black people needed to start to represent themselves in data. And you can go get that beautiful book. They did it in colored pencils. And this is now, we're informed by data and information. And so we needed to put that out there, not only to show that representation matters, but then someone else decided to put numbers behind it and how much money that those lawyers might have brought in, just the lawyers, into the Black community, and had it at that point at $1.6 billion. So that's generational wealth. And so it's representation, but it's also the people who execute it, and then it's the community that benefits from it. And so imagine when they see Chadwick Boseman as the king of Wakanda, how many new kings we have. Let's look forward to that. Freedom Theater. And we're taught by two men who had created sort of like a factory to teach kids through culture their history, and to not just tell them they were young, gifted, and Black, but show them how to be young, gifted, and Black. And that was Johnny Allen Jr. and Robert Leslie. And all the instructors did that. And to get that role was fantastic, but I'll tell you right now, the first 3 roles I got, although I'm very grateful for them, were a foster child, a slave, and a prostitute. Oh yeah, I knew I need to advocate for myself. Because I didn't want to spend my life in these roles that I had been the victim. And I'm not saying that that was all that was available, but there were really no young Black ingenues that looked like me. You could do it in theater, but you couldn't necessarily do it in film and TV. And if you did, you had to suffer. That was the price of the ticket, as James Baldwin says. And so I knew I had to try to learn how to write. And that was a different category. There I am, an actress, and suddenly I'm being called to maybe create and write opportunities for myself. But I wasn't alone. Spike Lee was out there doing it, and Robert Townsend. So we had seen them doing it, and we saw Berry Gordy build Motown. And so you see, especially in 1969, sort of Gen X, we were all entrepreneurs. You see the Wu-Tang and all these people building themselves, you know, and doing it in basements and in closets, because we didn't expect that anybody would come and fund us. But then you get all this great art, because we knew we could speak through the art, but as an actor, it's a collaborative thing. You needed, you know, cameras and all of that, and it's a harder lift, and very much so if you're a female. All females, but certainly females of color. And so that's why you see even the great Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer, though she won her Oscar for being a maid, it was a maid. And though Halle Berry won, you know, first, you know, for being an actress, what was she? Monsters Ball, what was she in? A destitute woman. A waitress who her large son gets hit by a truck. I mean, it was a mess, you know? You know what I'm saying. Yeah, but some of those roles, and to not talk them down, are great dramatic roles, and you want those parts. But that's not all you want. You want to be Meryl Streep, and so it's choice. You want all those things, and you need that in order to show our full humanity, and not just that we are in some kind of loop of suffering, going around the toilet.
Tamika is one of those projects. You can clap it up for you also have a project, The Rise and Fall of Reggie Dickens. We talked a little bit about it in the back, but I want you to share with them what that project is about.
So the things that I produced with my co-founder Ben Arnon at Color Farm Media have been mostly documentary at this time. It's very hard to do fiction work because it needs so much in order to get there. You just need a distribution, all of that. Now we have the internet, there are other avenues, but before there's very few things you could do. You needed a studio, you needed a network. So we're still working on that, and we have a lot of great things in development. But one of the first calls we got was from John Lewis's office. I get a call and they said they had read in the paper that I had started a production company, and did I want to do a documentary on the congressman? I said, I sweep his floors. What can I do? And so at the time, the great John Porter, who was a great documentarian, had been asked by CNN to do the same. We were talking to her about it. She said, guys, I've got to tell you, I'm going to do one myself. And Ben said, why don't we just do it together? So we partnered up and we did it. Glad we did. 2 years later, unfortunately, he got pancreatic cancer, but we had a documentary so for him to tell his story about Good Trouble. And we were on our way as producers. So I'll always be grateful to the office for believing and just seeing an article and saying, why not Erica? It's often our people. We often say, oh, we don't support enough, we don't do that. That's a lie. Everything that we have built has been with us first. From Jetman, the Motown, to Madison, to Walker, it's us. Sometimes we don't have the money to scale. That's what happens, and it falls out of our hands. And that's where the big returns are. That is true. But we need people in those places to help scale. But Black people have been tremendously successful because we have supported most of the entrepreneurship that we've done. And with only 0.6% of investor dollars, capital is going to Black women and maybe 2% overall women. Can you imagine the great opportunities out there sitting there waiting to be discovered and resourced and then, go the whole way? So, we're glad that we're in the mix. There are others. There's Ava DuVernay, there's Issa Rae, there's Ryan Coogler, all in the same mix. We're all trying to do the same type of thing in our way. We're trying to tell stories and narratives that look like the world, not any one vision or perspective, but the world that we see, full of diversity, full of love and umami. That's what we need in order to be a better version of not only America, but of human beings.
Amen.
White folks and others, this is y'all's fight. We've done enough. How do we find our rest while also keeping up the fight? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, peace be still. That is the fight. We're holding vigil. For one thing, you can't attack what you don't understand. They don't understand the definition of woke or DEI. Because we're in America, that is DEI. We don't like to tell us that bounce off doesn't go boom. They're attacking Black people. But they're doing it now through other people. They're feeling what Blackness feels like in this world. And it's important that they do feel it. Because what you give, you get to keep. And if you didn't give a fuck, say that one more time. You probably do that. You have to live it. And so it's good we be still. So they can see. We weren't lying all those years. There were great abolitionist white people with us that stood, Black and Latino. You know, Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez and all sorts of wonderful, you know, Jewish and all sorts of, and Asian. We have that legacy, but they didn't believe them either. Okay, well they're gonna believe this. Peace be still, stay still, and know. That's what we're doing. It's the hardest thing we've ever done. It's painful, ain't it? We're going out our minds. You know, I ain't paying attention. I'm not paying attention to nothing. What's going on? My God, let me know my knees. You know how to be. But that's what it is. What are you doing right now, young lady? No, really. How are you doing? But you in DC, let us know. I thought I was interviewing you.
It's gonna be therapy real quick.
What are you doing? Speak for
I'll say, I'm a millennial, let's be clear, and proud. No, I'll say I think I kind of sit at a unique spot because of my profession and what I do. And I've been doing civil rights work, so to speak, since I was 16. I started by, there was a lady in my church growing up who would register people to vote, and so I would be her little helper. And so when I went to college, I left home. I graduated from Cathedral High School in 2011. Come on! Yes, come on, Irish! Black Irish. I went on to and graduated from Winston-Salem State University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Absolutely, there it is. And while I was there, I was still on this I gotta do something train, and so I would literally go down to the Forsyth County Board of Elections, get a stack of voter registration forms, and register kids on my campus to vote, and I'm not even a registered voter in the state of North Carolina. So I've been doing this for a long time, and me personally, I'm tired. Because I've been talking about these issues for a very long time, and people don't listen.
Support. But who even wrote in fourth season of Living Single through Tom Joyner's advocacy to keep the show on. We were #1 in Black and Latino households since day one, and still were, and they wanted to end the show. Because they thought, okay, that's all we need, we got enough for syndication. They can go on forever on other shows. But our show, that's enough. They didn't see the value of exploring and exploiting the title to its natural end, which it hadn't come to. We get numbers bigger than the biggest shows now. They were considered lower then, but no. And they also didn't think that those people needed to be, so they got enough of that. We have something else we want to do. And there are a lot of things that are in line, but we need to, one of the work I'm doing now with Color Farm Impact, which is my foundation, is in value work. So there's a conversation that Monique and Taraji were having, that they weren't getting what they thought that they should be paid for. And you're right, they aren't. They weren't the first to say it, they won't be the last. We've all had that conversation. But that's because they don't believe that we are worth that. And yet, we always, usually, make a huge return because they don't invest that much money in those shows. So they're the black very soon. It all becomes profit. But they're not passing it on to the people who created that type of return. And so we needed to sort of figure out the value proposition inside of these shows and make it so that you could make spinoffs and create more things. And Tyler Perry has done that well. You know, he's doing something that they didn't see value in. But we are the gift that keeps giving. Just ask us how many times we created something from rock and roll to ragtime to the blues to country music to all that. And they've exploited every which way but loose. And when it comes up, it's like, oh, well, that's it. Next. And we have to stop that. because we can make that case, but we need more data. And inside of this new age, we're going to have to be data scientists for ourselves and make the case. People who came and did the grassroots work, they're still doing it. They're still doing that work. Make sure we donate to them. The Tommy Brown ain't going nowhere, United States agents. They're still there. They're still there. We're all there. There's all these great organizations doing that work. Support them. Volunteer. They're all there. So it's just a weird thing to be seen in a space that maybe because we're a little bit less forward, like the Marines, we pull back. But that right there is a strategic tactic. And we've always been great strategists. We'll win the hearts and minds of men in this moment with what we do next. Right now is a period where we're gaining strength. Because the strength won't come from our momentum, it needs to be forward. The front needs to be put forward by people who have skin in the game now. And they didn't have skin in the game now, they do. And so let's look forward to that, and then we have some people to march with. It ain't just marching, we have a whole army. We need to march like this. When we lifted the dead, we said just like this. Game of Thrones, that's what's happening now.